This week on UND Insider Weekly, the women's basketball team makes school history playing in their first ever Division I NCAA tournament. We'll talk about that game. Plus, Schill and Mitch Wigness were there, and they'll join us from College Station, Texas, to talk about what they saw courtside. The men's season comes to an end last week as Omaha beats UND in the opening round of the CIT. And the men's hockey team has a rough first game against Miami in the NCHC Frozen Faceoff, but gets a compelling win over Western Michigan for third place. That win, along with the help from a couple other teams across the NCAA, helped North Dakota secure their 12th straight trip to the NCAA tournament. We will recap and preview everything, as well as talk to men's hockey assistant coach Brad Berry as he joins us in the Coach's Corner. All this week on UND Insider Weekly. Welcome to UND Insider Weekly with Brad Schlossman from the Grand Forks Herald, Ryan Powell, and Paul Ralston from UND Athletics. I'm Tim Hennessy. Well, gentlemen, quite a week. Tom Miller's gone. We don't know when he'll get back from Texas, sooner or later, on his way back from the NCAA tournament. Let's first talk about that NCAA appearance by North Dakota's women's basketball team, as we documented, first ever. They take on Texas A&M in the opening game. I'm not going to say had them on the ropes in the first half, but certainly could have been leading at halftime rather than down 4 points, huh?
I think you look at it from the standpoint of Texas A&M maybe didn't have their press organized the way that they had wanted it in the early stages, and North Dakota handled it very well and made enough plays in that first half to just kind of keep in touch with the Aggies, and it was just good to see, and you kind of saw confidence evolve midway through that first half. Like, even though the Aggies would get up 4 or 6, North Dakota always would have a response, and that was really encouraging. Certainly, I think the last 90 seconds to 2 minutes where the Aggies kind of went on a 4-0 run kind of set the stage for a tough start in the second half. That got the Aggies kind of probably believing a little bit, but overall, I just was really impressed with the way the UND ladies just performed in that first 20, and really in the second half, despite that tough start. I thought they really battled the rest of the way and just tried to continue to take the game to Texas A&M. So caps off to them. I thought a good performance despite the loss.
Right, I thought second half was almost as impressive after the coach for Texas A&M goes in the locker room. They had him on TV, and he said, yeah, a lot of times those lower seed teams play a good first half. Now it's time for the big dogs to show their stuff. And they came out and started to do that, but North Dakota was able to stem that. That was kind of impressive, don't you think?
It was, and what's impressive from the 14-3 standpoint is if you're a 14 team and you're going to pull off an upset, you have to have your star play at her best. And Maddie Buck did that last night. She had 22 points and was really, really good for UND. And, they kept hopes alive. They got it down to 10 with 2 minutes to go. You don't know what can happen, but the Aggies, they're the 3 seed and they won for a reason.
Yeah, there's a reason teams like that are seated where they are, and they had 3 players on that team, I think, from their national title team 3 years ago, Brad?
Yeah, and I don't think a 14 has ever beat a 3 before, so it's a little bit different from the men's tournament. I think the men's, there's even more parity than, there isn't a ton of parity because those lower seeds don't win that often, but in the women's, it absolutely never has happened. So
Emily Evers showing the skills by putting the ball on the deck from the top of the key in the first half and spinning down the lane and finishing off the right glass. I mean,
that was almost like she had missed a couple of bunnies in there. It was like, all right. She was determined.
You look at that, I wonder if Coach Brewster's going to run some specials for her next year if she can get down the lane. I don't know. That was pretty impressive against a team like Texas A&M. But you look at this entire run that this UND women's team has been on. They had some injuries this year, and they just overcame them. I mean, you look at Megan Lauk, there's a piece of the puzzle that was missing all year long. Katie Hodak plays tough minutes for North Dakota usually. She missed for much of the year. And Josie Dillon, is another player that they kind of look to give him a little extra outside shooting presence. And all those players were missing, and yet this team was still able to accomplish what it's been able to accomplish. It's, pretty amazing, and at the same time encouraging heading into next season.
70-55 the final, Texas A&M. And later in the show, Matt and Mitch will join us from College Station to recap that tournament. The men's basketball team closed out their season at the CIT tournament against Nebraska Omaha. Went down to loss 91-75. Paul, you were there to witness that. A disappointing end, as I understand, for the way they played, not so much that they lost.
Yeah, it was.
Although they did have a lot of things going.
Yeah, it was certainly a performance. I think that they've had better ones this year. There's no doubt. I think The confluence of events, hindsight being 2020, a tough loss in the conference tournament championship game just a few days prior. Then you have to travel all the way back from Ogden. You've been depleted by injury. All are probably factors. But I think the only thing that they were looking for is a little bit better performance, against an Omaha team that was kind of lying in wait. It didn't happen. You maybe scratch your head a little bit and move on. Overall, I think this year it was certainly a bumpy ride at times, but there was also some amazing things that happened. It just didn't happen that night against Nebraska Omaha.
Is there talk, do you think, Ryan, senior-laden team like that, or maybe, we've had enough. We just played a tough championship game in our tournament and didn't get it. Let's just go back to school.
Right.
With that team, I'm saying.
Right. It's hard to say. I mean, you have guys who didn't want to see their careers come to an end. You maybe have one or two, or maybe at that point you have 3 seniors who are out with knee injuries. It wasn't a recipe for success on Wednesday night in Omaha. But you can't let that take away from the careers those seniors had at UND in the 4 straight postseason tournaments, 3 conference tournament title games. They won 2 of them. I mean, it was impressive. 3 1,000-point scores. I could go on and on with all the accolades
maybe you're
they
making
had.
my point for me, I think, and you end after a tough championship game, lost to Weber State, and that's it. Instead of this kind of leaves, for some people, maybe a little bitter taste.
Right.
It's just difficult when I'm sure that's been their goal the whole time, was to reach the big dance, and you don't get your goal, and mentally, as much as you want to win, that can be hard to come back from.
Men's hockey team was in Minneapolis for the NCHC Frozen Faceoff, the first ever, making it on the Sunday night victory against Colorado College to fill out that field. And Brad Schlossman, you were there, and my goodness, what a disaster that would have been if North Dakota wouldn't have been there attendance-wise.
I think that was one of the biggest takeaways, is that they were that close to having a real disaster for the first round of the tournament, and North Dakota fans certainly kind of saved the event. And I was talking to some people from the league, and they kind of said, we knew that North Dakota fans would travel well, but I didn't know it would be like this. They said this is way beyond what we thought they would get. So if you think about it, if they do get North Dakota and maybe Duluth and St. Cloud in there, I think they're going to have a really nice event there. So
I think everybody enjoyed the venue. Was fine. It wasn't as palatious as certainly the Ralph or the XL Energy Center, but it was fine.
Yeah, those are 2 arenas. Someone said this week, and you just don't really compare anything, because there's not. Like when we go on the road and check out other rinks, we don't compare it to the Ralph. The rinks kind of stand on their own, and it was a fine venue, and I think most of the fans who made the trip enjoyed themselves, and I think it'll only build from here. This is the year most hiccups will happen.
UND leads or loses 3-0 to Miami in the opening game, and I heard several people from Miami say that might have been the best 60 minutes of hockey Miami's played all season, and they had to. Everybody knows they're a better team than what they showed during the regular season, and they started showing it against St. Cloud the previous week, so not a surprise that they won that game.
No, like you said, I think they're a much better team than everyone thought. The biggest surprise to me is how well they played defensively. They really did a good job keeping UND out of the prime scoring areas. In that 9-2 game a few weeks earlier, UND was walking in there at will. So great job by their D. Their goaltender played well. He obviously had a really bad night at the Ralph, so he came back and played really well. So that part was different. Offensively, their big guys scored their goals, and they scored on great shots, and I don't think any of us were surprised to see that part.
Can I ask a question? I actually have 2. Number 1, Connor Gorder is a Twin Cities kid, and yet they can't pronounce his name right at Target Center for the NCHC Frozen Faceoff. And number 2, this Twitter world, all the St. Cloud State fans are accusing us of backdooring our way into the NCAA tournament. What gives, on those 2 questions there, fellas?
Well, on the second question, who cares how you get there as long as you're there?
Yeah. Yale backdoored last year. Does anyone remember that?
Exactly.
Go figure that one. And you'll have to ask Jason Hadger. He's supposed to put pronouncers down for those guys, and I blame it all on him.
And in the PA's guy's defense, he only scored 2 goals. He didn't even get a hat trick. I don't know if you deserve to have your name pronounced right if that's all you can do.
Well, he is from Edina, correct? So just down the road.
You wouldn't know what to talk to him, but yes, he is. Coming up, they will head to Cincinnati this weekend for their 12th straight NCAA tournament. But first, assistant coach Brad Berry will sit in the coach's corner to talk about the team's postseason performance.
great thing about snowboarding is the adventure. All day long, you're finding different ways of doing different things, and it's never the same. I don't mind snowboarding alone, but if you've got your friends up there on the mountain and you guys can all cruise down together, it's a really, really fun time. Snowboarding has been really fun and really rewarding for me, and I want it to be fun and rewarding for my customers as well. I'm Lindsay McKinstry, and I'm one of the snowboard experts at Scheels.
Right now at Burger King, choose any 2 sandwiches for just $5. Whether you're craving a Whopper sandwich and an original chicken sandwich, an original chicken sandwich and a premium Alaskan fish sandwich, or a Whopper and another Whopper. Come in today and get any 2 for just $5. Only at Burger King, where taste is king.
You're different today than yesterday. Yet, you're still a college hockey fan. Proud of national titles. Riveted with stories about the early days. Proud of the school's first big stage appearance. Excited knowing you compete among the game's elite. And recalling the recent reign over college hockey's best. The puck has dropped, and the NCHC has arrived. It's time. Get in the game.
Cities Area Transit. We go where you go.
Did you know that riding the city bus is free for UND and Northland students?
I ride the bus so I don't have to find a parking spot, and then I'm always within an easy walking distance to all of my classes.
I'm going green, so I ride my bike everywhere. But when the weather turns bad, I take the bus. And why not? It's free.
Cities Area Transit. Enjoy the ride.
Right now at Burger King, choose any 2 sandwiches for just $5. Whether you're craving a Whopper sandwich and an original chicken sandwich, an original chicken sandwich and a premium Alaskan fish sandwich, or a Whopper and another Whopper. Come in today and get any 2 for just $5. Only at Burger King, where taste is king.
For 50 years, the Big Sky Conference has been showing the world who we are and how we play. 50 years of authenticity, hard work, community, and 50 years of playing to win. But remembering that our mission is bigger than winning. We're the Big Sky, the heart of Division I, the heart of the American West.
UND Insider Weekly is sponsored by Scheels, Burger King, where taste is king, Grand Forks Cities Area Transit, and the Ground Round.
Joining us now, the Coach's Corner, North Dakota hockey assistant coach Brad Berry, as his team prepares for the NCAA tournament opening round, Midwest Regional, Cincinnati against the Wisconsin Badgers on Friday night. Brad, thanks for coming over to the Coach's Corner. Appreciate it.
Anytime, Tim.
Hey, how about the fact that you guys have been in the NCAA tournament 12 consecutive seasons? We really found out this year with 23 wins and barely getting in that it's tough to get in, isn't it?
It's tough, especially the conference we're in, and that tells you how much the non-conference schedule impacts what we do. 23 wins normally gets you in pretty good. This year barely got us in. 23 wins usually get you a number 2 seed, for that matter. Yeah. Well, Wisconsin did you a favor on Saturday night by beating Ohio State in overtime, coming from behind to do that, a couple goals down in the third period. Now you, instead of returning the favor, they might wish that they had lost that game so they wouldn't have to play you. That's what you intend to make it for them, right? Yeah, we intend to make it hard, but obviously we wear green all the time, and we were wearing red after our game and cheering for Wisconsin. Now we turn the page, and we're going to be battling them. So it makes out to be a great game in the fact that 2 similar teams as far as record-wise and stats-wise. What's the biggest key? It seems to me when you guys are playing with speed, generating a lot of speed, coming out through the neutral zone, into the zone, possessing the puck, but I think speed seems to me to be the key ingredient. Would you concur? I agree totally. Playing with speed, playing fast, taking away time and space. The other thing is taking care of the puck, and sometimes players don't like to hear it about neutral zone, taking care of the puck. What does that mean? Well, getting it deep and not turning it over, making them come back the other way. A lot of teams now are great transition teams that get a lot of their offense because it's so tough to score a goal in offensive zone play that a lot of times pucks go in the net because of transition play. Brad, what makes you confident in your team going into this tournament? I just think that we're a 4-line team, 6 defensemen that roll, and we're not a 1-line team. And you look at all the good teams that go on to win, and those are the teams that have depth, and I think we have depth.
And you have Zane Gothberg behind, and he's been nothing short of spectacular, I think.
Failed to mention that, but yeah, absolutely. He's been a rock back there, and it's nice to know that a guy's back there that can make a save at any key point time of a game.
Talk about the difference in playing in front of what you normally have, a very friendly and raucous crowd at Ralph Engelstad Arena. You're going to go to Cincinnati. I'm guessing it's not going to be a big crowd. It might be similar to Grand Rapids last year. What difference does that make?
Well, I think it makes a little bit of a difference as far as momentum in times of games. Obviously, we're very appreciative of our crowd, and it really helps us. But I think it was a learning experience last year in Grand Rapids, and we have most or all of the same players we did last year, and knowing that we have to create our own excitement. And just by being in Grand Rapids, I think it helped us as far as what we have to prepare this year.
That's the other thing. You have people that have been there. How long can that go for you?
I think it's a lot. You talk about Wisconsin's experience with juniors and seniors. It's no different with us. We got a lot of older veteran players that have been through the wars postseason, and I think it will help us.
Looking forward to it, Bubs. Good luck.
Thank you very much, sir.
North Dakota assistant coach Brad Berry joining us today on the Coach's Corner. Still to come, the panel will break down that game against Wisconsin coming up. Plus, Matt and Mitch will join us from College Station, Texas, to wrap up women's basketball's first ever trip to the NCAA Division I basketball tournament.
Right now at Burger King, choose any 2 sandwiches for just $5. Whether you're craving a Whopper sandwich and an original chicken sandwich, an original chicken sandwich and a premium Alaskan fish sandwich, or a Whopper and another Whopper. Come in today and get any 2 for just $5. Only at Burger King, where taste is king.
Cities Area Transit. We go where you go.
Did you know that riding the city bus is free for UND and Northland students?
I ride the bus so I don't have to find a parking spot, and then I'm always within an easy walking distance to all of my classes.
I'm going green, so I ride my bike everywhere. But when the weather turns bad, I take the bus. And why not? It's free.
Cities Area Transit. Enjoy the ride.
Right now at Burger King, choose any 2 sandwiches for just $5. Whether you're craving a Whopper sandwich and an original chicken sandwich, an original chicken sandwich and a premium Alaskan fish sandwich, or a Whopper and another Whopper. Come in today and get any 2 for just $5. Only at Burger King, where taste is king.
We live in such a fast-paced world. It's always go, go, go. When I'm out for a run, it's my time. It's the best way to start your day. Crossing the line of that marathon, it's the biggest reward you can get. I want my customers to achieve their goals and go above and beyond. I'm Nikki Ledegi, and I'm one of the running experts at Scheels.
With all the playoff action going on this weekend, make sure you go to UND Insider on UNDsports.com. Ensure complete tournament home for exclusive video, post-game, and more. Visit the upgraded Player Today on UND Insider on UNDsports.com. The women's basketball program made history as they advanced to their first ever NCAA Division I tournament. Matt Schill and Mitch Wigness were there to witness their first game as UND took on Texas A&M, and they're down in College Station, Texas, to recap the game for us.
Thanks, Tim. Matt Schill, joined by Mitch Wigness, the UND radio voice. Mitch, give us your take on the game.
Yeah, UND, that first half, I think they really showed the country what they're made of. Knew that they were going to come out and hustle and not be intimidated by this crowd. Tough being a 14 seed, but then you play in front of the host team.
Let's talk Maddie Buck. Great second half. Maybe, as Texas A&M started to pull away, she kept battling. UND eventually kind of clawed their way back into it, but just weren't able to take over top.
I think every time UND needed a buck in that second half, they went to Maddie Buck, and she provided it. I mean, she had 4 3-pointers tonight. That's usually not her game, but she obviously put a team on her back, and she was just great tonight. 22 points, 9 rebounds, but you can't say everything that she did just based on the box score, because she had some block shots, and they knew that they were going to focus on her defensively.
Maddie Buck talked to the media after the game. Let's go to that.
I mean, it's disappointing that I'll never be able to put this jersey on again. My career has meant so much to me, and I just couldn't thank the players and the coaches enough. I love each and every one of them. Texas A&M is a great basketball team, and unfortunately we just fell a little short today. I think that we played a really good first half, but like Coach said, I think we just kind of ran into playing their style of ball in the second half, and that's their MO, and that's what they're great at, and that's why they're successful. But like I said, unfortunately, we just couldn't come up with a win. But my career's meant so much to me, and I just hopefully that they get back here next year.
All right, Mitch, just as, in general for this season, great foundation laid here. What can be said about this UND team?
Well, you talk about an 11-game turnaround from a season ago. I think if they were to do that again, you're talking about being in the Final Four next season. Obviously not, you're not thinking at that level, but 22-10 from what they did last year, a huge improvement. And kudos to Coach Brewster and his staff for everything they did this season. And we talked about some of the players being able to step up next year. You certainly want to look at Emily Evers as a junior, the improvements she'll make as a senior, and then Maya Lloyd, the improvements she made this year, and she should be one of the stars in the league next year.
Big Sky Championship, NCAA tournament. Put Texas A&M, a top 15 school, had them on the ropes for a while. Overall, it's a pretty successful year, even though tonight, as we stand here in Texas, maybe not some great feelings, but overall, got to be some smiles as we look down the road.
Yeah, you talk about the successes, even some of the losses were Iowa State was a close game, Northern Iowa, Minnesota lose that game by only 2. So you could talk about a 25-26 win team here as we stand here at the NCAA tournament. So I think Coach Brewster has all the ingredients in place for a good recipe next year.
Should be fun. Mitch, thanks for the comments, and thanks for watching here on UND Insider Weekly.
North Dakota's postseason action isn't done yet. This weekend, the men's hockey team will face off against Wisconsin in the opening round of the NCAA tournament. Gentlemen, Badgers ended up with the number 1 seed, and they acquired that by beating Ohio State in overtime Big Ten tournament, and that also coincidentally put North Dakota into the NCAA tournament. Kind of ironic how that all works out, huh, Brad?
Very strange the way it goes. All the UND fans are sitting around cheering for Wisconsin to win that game as much as they've ever cheered for UND to win the game. The Badgers come through, and now UND is going to go and try to end their season. It won't be easy. That's the Wisconsin in 2006, they played for the national title and won it with a bunch of seniors. Then 4 years later, it was 2010, and they had a new crop of seniors that came in and they played for the national title again. Now this is 4 years later, so this is another crop of seniors, and that's what they're hoping to do again. So pretty big challenge for the men's hockey team.
Does it help any, do you think, North Dakota last year against Wisconsin here in Grand Forks, tied them and then beat them? So they have obviously a record against Wisconsin, obviously through the years, but as early as last year.
Yeah, they've had some success against them recently. There should be a lot of familiarity. There's a lot of players on that Badger team who North Dakota players have played against. So I think a lot of the Badgers will know a lot of the North Dakota guys too. UND's a little bit younger, so they'll have more rookies in the lineup, but still, I think both teams know what each other is going to bring to the table.
Ryan Paul, break down that goaltending.
I'm replacing a lead hockey-minded Tom Miller, so no, I think the one thing I take away from the weekend is being able to play that third-place game and being able to win it 5-0, so you can build a little more momentum off of that as opposed to being a little dejected after losing to Miami of Ohio. So maybe they can ride that into Cincinnati.
Cincinnati, Ohio, that's an interesting place for a regional. Shouts hockey. Are the Reds going to be in action at all? You can pick up a Reds game when you're out there, Tim?
Well, Tim and I
always play the season opener, don't they, in Cincinnati?
They do.
Traditionally.
Yeah, Tim and I will be in Cincinnati with about 15 other people probably, maybe even 16, 17.
I think with Wisconsin there, the turnout's going to be much better than Grand Rapids, like 7 or 8 more.
Yeah, that might be that would probably be double there, so we could be looking at a raucous atmosphere.
Yeah, it'll be raucous, all right. But let's go. Wisconsin with Michael Mersch, and they've got Tyler Barnes and Zengerle of these guys up front. Is it a matchup their offensive skill against North Dakota's defense?
Yeah, I think that's going to be one of them. I also think UND is going to find it really challenging to score on a team like that. If you look at their results recently, and as in the second half of the year, most of their games they've held their opponents to 1 goal or 0-1 goal, and that's why Joel Rumpel's a Hobie Baker Award finalist to their goaltender. So I don't think they give up a lot defensively, and Rumpel's pretty good behind them. So that'll be a challenge. And when UND hasn't been winning games recently, it's been because they couldn't score. So that'll be what to watch, I think, in this one.
The other game in that regional will be Colgate and Ferris State, and 3 NCHC teams make it, when at times there was a time when it looked like maybe only 1 would make it at most. That game will be televised 7 o'clock Central Time on ESPNU. Also, all of the games of the tournament will be on the networks of ESPN. Well, after the break, the panel will have a breakthrough. They'll open up to us about what we're looking forward to this week.
UND Insider Weekly is sponsored by Shields, Burger King, where taste is king, Grand Forks Cities Area Transit, and the Ground Round.
All right, gentlemen, let's go right down the line, find out what you guys are looking forward to. We'll start with Ryan Powell.
Spring football starts Friday. Bubba Schweigert's first football team. He gets 68 guys out there on the practice field. It's probably not the numbers you want exactly, but you're going to have a little turnover with the new coaching staff. They get after it for 15 practices. Spring games April 26th at 1 in the Alara Center. So over the next 4 weeks, it's a clean slate for a lot of guys, and I don't even know if we're going to have a pre-spring depth chart this year. It's wide open with the new staff.
So maybe a good thing, not a lot of attention on that yet because it's a success of the basketball programs and hockey program.
Right, yeah, I kind of just snuck up on us, but it's here. I get off of basketball and get a week to get that spring prospectus together and get things rolling with those guys. So I'm looking forward to that.
Brad?
Looking forward to going to Cincinnati, seeing a new regional site. I'm not expecting a huge crowd there, but it's always kind of fun to see new places and check it out. And I think with this regional, there's all 4 teams I think have a shot at coming out of this regional. I think Ferris and Colgate are included in that group, so it'll be a mystery who comes out.
Paul?
UND baseball on the schedule is having home games this weekend. We'll have to wait and see.
Northern Colorado's here, right?
Northern Colorado. So we'll have to wait and see. I know that they're looking at possibly bringing in some alternative sites.
It's at Bismarck.
It is going to be in Bismarck. So UND baseball at home, but in a different location in North Dakota. But since we're the University of North Dakota, why not bring in the Bismarck fans coming up this weekend against Northern Colorado? Should be a lot of fun.
If they win there, you might never get them back.
Yeah.
They've done caravans there, so.
Insider Weekly will be back in 2 weeks. The new episode will air Wednesday, April 9th at 8 p.m. on UNDsports.com, on Friday, April 11th at 5:30 on Midco Sports Network.